Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the My Love of Golf podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Your listenership really is appreciated, and joined ably tonight for another episode of the ROSSCO and Rocket. Well, I don't even know what we call them now. It's, season 1, 2, 3 or 4. We've done more of these, Rocket, than probably...
Episode 47.
47. Yeah, that's right. That's why I said that, because you've been counting, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thank the listeners for their listenership. I thank you for your stewardship on the ROSSCO and Rocket podcast, and your stewardship this year. As you know, I referred to, I didn't refer, I got the segments of the ROSSCO and Rocket series for this year sort of messed around. It's taken me a while to get my head around it, but I'm there now. So the segments tonight that we've got to cover, Rocket is Rocket's Radar. We've got then followed by Rocket's Review. We have a little bit of Roll On. That's just where we jibber jabber on for a little bit longer, and sometimes that goes between 30 to 50 minutes. And if we go past the hour mark, thanks for sticking with us. And then we've got Rocket's Rabbit Hole, which is just it's like a mystery dip, a lucky dip. Back in the days of the fete, when you used to go to a fete at the school back when they had those sorts of public gatherings, and that was all cool. You'd pay your 20 cents and you'd have a lucky dip, and you get something out. Rocket's Rabbit Hole is a little bit like a lucky dip. You never know what you're going to get, and I think some people are enjoying it, Rocket. So we'll just keep doing it. What do you reckon?
Yep.
Now, pretty big week in the podcast, pretty big week in golf. Let me just briefly do a bit of housekeeping on the podcast before I hand over to you to start talking about what's on the radar. This will be the second episode of the My Love of Golf podcast for this week. It's one of the rare weeks where we get the opportunity to do two. And the first one this week, which has been very well subscribed to and downloaded, and thank you to anyone who has taken the hour and 20 to listen to Chandler Carr, Senior Product Manager of Product Creation over at TAYLORMADE HQ in Carlsbad, Southern California, down in San Diego, where Chandler just drops everything on the new Sim 2 family, tells us as much as he could, as much as he could in an hour and 20, but a little bit about the behind the scenes of the Sim 2 family, a little bit about the tour experience, a little bit about everything that goes into making these wonderful new products. And TaylorMade have been very good with their time and very good with offering people, so I appreciate those. And Rocket, you've been very, very open about your TaylorMade love, and there's probably a little part of the segments will be dedicated towards that this podcast. But one thing that Chandler did touch on was the work and some of the input in regards to Tiger Woods and his role within the TaylorMade family, and being inspirational and instrumental in helping develop some of this new product. So we all know what's happened with Tiger, and we, on behalf of the podcast, wish him the speediest of recoveries. It was terrible scenes seeing that car down the gorge or wherever it was in Rancho Palos Verdes in the United States crashed, and you just don't know how to react. But the reaction has been huge, with people being outpouring of their support towards Tiger and wishing him well and getting better. As the news goes on, it appears that the damage to his right leg is fairly substantial, and it leads to the question of where do we see Tiger? When do we see Tiger appear from this, and how does he reappear from this in a golfing sense? He's alive, which is the best outcome that you could think of when you see an accident of that nature. It's a pretty big bender. So, but everyone wants to know what's the extent. And Rocket, I'll hand over to you for the radar, because I know it was on the tip of your tongue. What did you think when you turned up on Wednesday morning or Tuesday morning and you saw that?
Well, glad he's alive. Glad he's alive. It's almost like you get a little bit of a flashback to Kobe of last year. And there's a lot of people talking about, Jim Nance talked to Tiger during the Genesis and asked him when he was going to come back, and Tiger was not sure about it. And when you find out all the, he's already had fifth back surgery, and reports he was in quite a lot of pain. So I was still surprised that he was even out there for that tournament. It shows that he puts himself through a lot of pain to be front and center and a face for his sponsors and being an ambassador for the game, because he was also filming some other stuff with Wayne Wade and a few other celebrities for Golf TV. So I effectively put it down to, I think he's just pushed himself too far when he should actually be home resting. A lot of people talk about, will he be able to make it back? I think we as a golf community need to finally maybe stop preaching and demanding and clawing for Tiger to make these monumental comebacks and stuff like that, I think we need to, maybe almost say to him, dude, you've done more than enough for this game. You've inspired so many people. You've changed the game forever. You are legit icon. If you take it pure statistics for, people could argue about Jack Nicklaus being greatest of all time. I used to be in a bit of the Jack camp because of, his longevity and consistency in majors, because if you start to add the seconds and the thirds and the top fives and all that sort of stuff, that weighs up completely against Tiger. But what Tiger did to the game beyond the majors, and even how he dominated I think of 99 through to 2009. No one's dominated like that. Actually, if you go 96 to 2006, even you just take the statistics from there. It was just, there's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it. So in terms of the greatest 10-year stretch of golf you'll ever see, there's nothing. That's the greatest of all time. And I think we as a golf community need to kind of rally around and just say thanks, and kind of say it's okay if you don't come back. Your health is more important. To spend time with your family and kids, you've sacrificed more than enough. And the only golf I actually hope that he's ever able to play again is playing golf with his son. That's all. If I had one wish, that would be the only wish. I don't care about anything else, because what he gave us in 2019 at the Masters, that's a gift, parting gift, absolute parting gift. Because what I think people don't really take stock and realise that dude's got a fused back. He had this 12, 18-month stretch where he was just building up to something, and it's just it was like that last spark of that really bright shining star, and it was on the greatest stage. It was like a bookend, right? Perfect bookend. Close the door. That's it. I don't want anything else. He's done more than enough, and that was just, if that's his last, bright memory, perfect. And let's leave it at that. And then we just celebrate the man for the next 40 years, 50 years, 100 years because of what he's done.
Do you think that if he can't play competitively or chooses not to play competitively again, do you think that he would maintain an involvement in the industry as a figurehead, like doing what he was doing at the Genesis and commentating and offering his time? Do you think that he would still want to do that?
If he was able to, he probably would. And he probably would because he I think in him being out on tour for the last couple of years, I think he's starting to realise the impact that he's had in the last 20 years, right? There's no, we'll talk about him soon. There's no greater example than that than, Max Homa. He talks about Tiger, Justin Thomas. So there's so many players that are inspired to play golf because of this man. And they look up to him. He's left an indelible mark. And, he is, there's a reason there's this resurgence in dominant players in the US Tour in the last 10 years, is because they're the ones that saw him when he was coming through and dominating. Everyone wanted to be Tiger.
I certainly hope, first and foremost, that his health is a priority, and getting better and recovering from these injuries sustained in this car accident are absolute priority, of course. If the golf gods were kind enough that he recovered in a way where he was able to play golf in some level again, that'd be great, and he chose to, that'd be great. If he chooses not to play, if for whatever, for the obvious reasons, my wish would be that he was able to maintain some level of influence over the golfing landscape, because and you're right, we have lent on Tiger as an industry as a little bit of a crutch, and his draw card to the game has given us that do make a living in the industry, whether you're a professional, whether you're whatever level of in the industry you are, we've lent on him a little bit to get those results and to get that time on the air time. And we all don't need to go back over the history of his highs and lows. That's been well documented, and that's not for now. But not to say that would go away, but he just you've seen a different side of him the last few years. as you said, and there's more to give. And I think he wants to, he had shown that he wanted to, like getting out there with his son and doing that sort of thing. That brought another level of exposure to, the Tiger Woods brand, but, what Tiger's all about and what Tiger can potentially, offer in terms of showing the next generation.
Even if it's just mentorship.
Yeah.
Which is doing a lot now, right?
Whatever way, shape it looks like, first and foremost, we just wish that the man can recover as well as he possibly can, and hopefully that's very well, that we see him and we get to see him very soon up and about. So I think that's as golfers in the golfing world, that's all that we want and would be focused on for Tiger and his family. Now, continuing on in the radar, one of your favourite tournaments of the year, Riviera, one of your favourite players in the modern time. Wow, the Homa. You tipped it. You saw it. You crystal balled it.
Call me the Oracle.
You are the Oracle. Your strike rate this year has been pretty good.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I've had a couple of stinkers, but I felt. I tell you what. This is one of those ones where even you think about the events of Tiger Woods, and I think about this event and the winner, and my love for Max Homa can only be. It's only second to Brooks, but I've been a massive fan of his, and I've probably listened to every podcast that he'd been on before he even started his own with Shane Bacon. And he talks so honestly and openly about what he does in tournaments, his thinking, his feelings, everything. And so I feel like I've been on the journey. I feel like I've been on the ride with him. So, Monday morning watching it, that last 6 holes, I don't think I haven't been that nervous watching someone play, except Tiger Woods maybe at 2019. And then maybe a bit of like Adam Scott 2013 in terms of just pure butterflies and just nervous energy and twitchy and just trying to will your man over the line, regardless of the fact that I put money on him. Just him winning is, again, it's just great for golf because of the story. And then, as I said, I feel like I've been on the journey. So because he brings people in, lets them in, he lets people into his world. He's quite transparent compared to a lot of the wee robots that we have out there on tour, and it's refreshing. And you only have to see, what it meant to him when he was being interviewed by Amanda Balionis. And even I got a little bit sort of choked up because you feel like you're invested and you're connected with someone that you're a fan of, and you've been on that journey. You know what they've gone through to get there. And so you're feeling it with them. So for me, it was awesome. It was awesome.
When did Max Homa first pop up on your radar? Because we talked about it, on the podcast, and a name that I wasn't so familiar with. But when was it he first popped up on your rocket sphere?
Twitter in about 2017. Yeah.
And what signs was he showing that he could join the Rocketdom?
It's just funny. It's just funny. And the thing is that he was just another one of those guys that was funny. He had a really good amateur career, college career, won NCAA champion. I'd seen some interviews with him, and you just kind of go, I really like this guy. Like, he's no nonsense. There's no bravado. There's no facade. What you see is what you get. And you can see he's just trying really hard to be the best he can be. He's literally just trying to be the best in the world, and he's working through that. And it's like, and then, I've seen him in different, I think the first time I experienced him in a podcast was like 2018. I think it was one of the early no laying up ones. And then and then I think when he won for the first time in 2019, he did another one with the no laying up guys, and he's been on other ones since then. And, and then he ended up he's got his own with Shane Bacon. Shane Bacon's probably one of the best golf commentators on the planet, very underrated. And I just listened to it flat out because, one, he's funny, but he takes you on the journey of what he's doing. And so for me, the reason I put money on it, because he talked about what he needed to work on at the end of last year, and he started talking about the things that he was working on and where he felt his progress was. And then for me, looking at results last year, it's like tied for 5th, and he was not playing as well as what he was this year. I thought, no, he's ready. Like, it's all going to fall. All the pieces are going to fall together. That's what I felt. I was right.
Now, take us through the playoff. The only reason I ask that is because the person who was in the playoff hole was, someone struck by, as you refer to it as the curse, and we'll get to the Puerto Rico Open in a bit. The perpetual runner-up, Tony Finau. Talk to me, your thoughts on Tony. Where's he at right now?
One, he played an amazing final round. Like, he shot 64. He was golfing his ball, and I thought he was just going to run away with it.
Because that's different to Tony's usual form. He's usually up there in the lead.
Usually he's right near the top, and he
peters off a bit.
Yeah, he gets the wobbles. But he played a blistering round, and it was essentially him and Max that were the ones that were tearing it up on the course, and everyone else was, tripping over their shoelaces and throwing up on themselves and stuff like that. But we'll call it the final 6 holes. Tony was clutch all the way through. Clutch. Max was clutch. Some of the shots they both hit down the stretch were just crazy. They were just so good. So good to watch. It was just amazing. And then obviously we get to the playoff, and the teeing off the 10th, Tony's just smoked one up there just short. Then Max has hit this 3-wood, and it's just dead left and gone up against that tree. I had all these friends of mine, and they're texting me going, "Oh no!" I thought it was just, but you watch him when he walks up there, and he didn't look phased or anything like that. And you got to credit him, just the creativity. Like, I don't actually. Here's the thing: I actually don't think people really quite understand how hard it is to hood a lob wedge and then strike it in the right position so you actually get good contact. Like, that's really, really hard. And the shot that he hit, one under that pressure, is crazy. So just that shot alone, I thought was, even his bunker shot that he hit on 10 in regulation was ridiculous. But that one, just in that moment, is just unbelievable. And then obviously they both missed putts on that one. And then they get up to 14, and Tony's tugged it left into the bunker, and Max is, I think he's got one less club than he did earlier on, because he hit it over the green in regulation. I think he pulled a little bit. He's trying to hit sort of like a 3-yard draw, and started a little bit lefter than what he wanted by hitting the perfect spot. And it's a shame that, it was he didn't hold the putt, which meant Tony missing was the reason it lost. But Tony didn't. A lot of people talk about Tony. I know he's been the butt of many of my jokes, but
he has. He
played some really good golf, and look, he deserved to win. But I'm a lot of people talk about if they wish that Max had hold the one on 18, so then the story's not about Tony.
Yeah,
but I don't think they really understand this. The not having the playoff means we don't get to see that shot on 10. Not having the playoff means that we don't get to see Max's maturity as a golfer dealing with adversity. And he dealt with a lot, and he came through on top.
Do you think that Tony will be, he's been there or thereabouts for a while now, right? But based on that performance, do you have any more confidence in Tony that he can convert from that final good, strong finish? Okay, he missed out in the ultimate chocolates, but do you think that he can convert that into a win at some stage this year? Because I don't think you would have thought maybe he could a couple of weeks ago. Do you think now he can?
Oh, you'd hope so. I don't know. I literally don't know, because he's been so close so often and in all different circumstances. There's no real one theme. This one's a little bit different, but look, it'd be just good. It'd be good for him to get a win, just to get the monkey off the back.
Yeah, one thing that stood out from what I saw of the tournament, there's still a place in professional golf for a course like Riviera, with some short fours and shorter holes and a bit more strategy and that sort of thing. There's a good place for that. Like I saw plenty. I can't remember what
firm and fast.
Yeah,
it played firm and fast. So if there's one thing I need to start to pay a bit more attention to, when I don't know I did it again you kind of mentioned it last week and I dismissed it. I went with the wrong Cam as the top Aussie, but if it's firm and fast, it's the Cam Smith zone. Look at him. He's fourth. The course is firm and fast. It's perfect for him because length becomes irrelevant. It's about just getting your ball around.
Yeah, well, Cam Smith finished fourth. Who else? Matty Jones. There you go. Another player that can just get their ball around. Probably not the longest in the game, but gets his ball around. Who else? Was any other sort of note? Matt Fitzpatrick, not the longest player on tour. A bit more sort of find the fair.
He was in the final group. He had a bad final day.
Bad final day.
Him, DJ, Sam Burns, who was the leader. It's a shame he's been playing well, the young man. He'll break through at some point. He'll learn from this. He can play, that kid. DJ, he must be just tired of just counting all that blood money.
Yeah, don't go back to that. The only tip that you left me with in charge of, both failed to make the cut, but I'm going to assume that because Martin Laird appears higher on the order of standings than Rusty Knox, that Martin Laird was the highest finishing.
I was pretty disappointed with Mr. Laird. Actually, he hasn't been too flush the last few weeks.
Well, there was many that did miss the cut that you would have thought otherwise. Rory, your boy Rory, my boy
JT,
my boy Porrig, JT. But the big notable out, and it didn't surprise you, I don't think, was your boy Bryson.
No, of course not. Yes, the course needs strategy.
Now,
and you know what? I'm absolutely kicking myself because he was $6 to miss the cut, and I thought to myself, this is just a perfect opportunity, and I didn't have the stones to go and lay some green on it.
So you didn't have that crystal ball working that I joked about.
No. I think the crystal ball was there, but I was looking into it and going,
exactly. You got to get the vibes going
back. Look at a few times. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Let's get more serious about this and like get it out there and get it on paper and get it done. Now,
I did put it out there and say that I'm kicking myself.
Yes,
I'm quite willing to say where I absolutely screw it up.
Now, Rodney. I professed that I had this format nailed, but I think that what I have already done was gone from the radar, which is what's on your radar.
Yeah, to review. We just did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But you rolled into it. Beautiful.
Yeah, but there's probably a couple other things on the radar. Now, one of the things on my radar is that the RNA and USJ have come out with another report. They've left the distance report behind now. They're looking after amateur golfers and elite amateur golfers from around the world and suggesting that it's okay to take sponsorships and endorsements. So, Rocket, are you open for business? Is that an entry for you to start with a checkbook podcastery?
I think the listeners are more than aware that I've been open for business for probably 2 years. TaylorMade.
Oh, I'm laughing. Sorry. I'm laughing at two things because it is just an ongoing little running joke. And if you are listening to this for the first time, welcome. Thank you. If you've made it this far into 28 minutes and going, what are these guys on about? Well, but we joke about your love of the TaylorMade product and, you've put yourself out there and there's been no one sort of really from the TaylorMade HQ knocking.
Well, not completely true because a very nice man did send me a few sleeves of the new Pixers, which I do use, and I did advertise.
In fairness to your people at TaylorMade, they did like a couple of your posts occasionally.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's vindication.
Just keep it coming. Just keep it coming.
That's recognition enough for a couple of amateur podcasters that the big brand liked your post.
Yeah.
How were the pics, by the way?
Yeah, they're really nice, actually.
Yeah.
They're good on the perfect putting mat too.
$1 million. It's like over $1 million printing machine that prints those pics, and they have to be all printed at the same time to get the symmetry right for the alignment of the of those little tetrahedrons or whatever they are. It's printed all at once, all colours all at once. It's quite a complex thing. It's not just like stamp it on and then move the ball. It's all at once. But what is exciting from we're talking about TaylorMade because we've had the Chandler Carr episode, so we're just following on from that. And we're joking around about Rocket being open for business because now the amateurs are allowed to take sponsorships for their golf, because it's been recognised that there is a substantial cost of being an elite amateur golfer. If you know some elite amateur golfers, like I do, even on the Australian sense, I know the level of expense that they have to go to, which is absolutely unremunerated, to go to interstate series, to go to whatever level of events that they go to, and they all want to go and play the big ranking events because they all want that status, and they want that win more like it. There's no money. They don't get paid. Maybe they've got some parents for the younger ones. Like I bumped into Louis Doblar the other week, and the week before he won the Australian Amateur, and they just travel around, and there's a lot of expense that go with that, so they can get some endorsement from brands. Rocket, your amateur elite amateur days are way, way, way behind you. But anyway, we digress. So that was back on radar. We've done review. Anything else on the radar that we missed?
No.
Okay. So the roll-on part is now, that's where we start to talk about the events
Next
that are coming up this week. Right, I've got it. I'm back on track. Thank you. So there's a couple of big events. I think
the women are back.
The women are back.
They played last week.
They did.
They're back. I think Corn Ferry was back last week as well.
Yep.
Didn't follow much of those tournaments. I was homing in. But then this week we've got, because of obviously all the travel restriction stuff. Normally the WGC would be down in Mexico, and they've still called it the WGC Mexico on the PGA Tour site, even though now it's the World Golf Championship presented by Workday Championship at Concession. They've got championship in there twice. I don't know how they do that.
Do you know why it's called Concession Club?
What's that?
Do you know why the course, which is the home of the WGC Mexico Championship in Florida, do you know why it's called Concession?
Based on what I know, I don't know the name, but the only thing I know from some of the videos and reports and things that I've seen about the course in terms of how difficult it can be, concession would be, I'm giving up because this course is beating me up. I'm going to concede.
I believe it was co-designed by Jack Nicklaus and Tony Jacklin, and it's representative of the great concession part.
Oh, the 1970...
67 or something like that.
71 Ryder Cup?
Yep, that's it. The great concession. So, yeah, those guys.
Did you see? Actually, talking about that, did you see Rory was asked about who on the tour would actually, who he thinks would concede and who wouldn't?
No, I didn't see that.
They said, out of the people that would probably most likely play in the Ryder Cup, who is the most likely US person who would concede? And he said, Webb Simpson. And then they said, who would be the least likely? And he said, probably Patrick Reed.
Probably spot on.
He's absolutely spot on.
Probably spot on. Anyway, back to the WGC. So top 50 automatically qualify, and there's some other qualification criteria which sees a whole host of great people get into this event. So, for example, Min Woo Lee qualifies for his win at the Vic Open last year. This time last year, when Min Woo Lee had his first win on the European Tour, which was part of the Vic Open, so he qualifies from that, as does Herbie,
Wade Ormsby.
Wade Ormsby with the... his win in the Hong Kong Open last year. Jason Scrivener, he won.
The Pirate.
Yep, he won last year. Jason Day, obviously, in his world rankings. Leash, the same. Scotty, the same. The Bendigo Baguette, yep. Cam Smith's up there. So it's Brad Kennedy. So it's very well represented. Got a great field for the Aussies over there, and they've been over there for a couple of weeks. They've had to do their,
isolation.
Avoiding more so avoiding isolation. Not coming back from the Middle East. I think Wade went straight from the Middle East across to the US, and he and Hendy and so on and so forth have been playing at places like Sawgrass, I've seen, and now they're all down there. Herbie's been there for a couple of weeks in camp with Jamie, and Dom is across there, and they've been doing some work with Ruff, and I think Gabby Ruffles was across for a while, and so they've been having a good time of it in a golf development sense across there. But outside of the Aussies, it's a great field. It's a great weekend for the men's golf, because you've got the WGC, but then you've got the alternate event, the away event, or what's it referred to as, the opposite event? Yeah,
opposite field event.
Opposite field at the Puerto Rico Open, which you don't want to win that one. Just saying, anyone that is in that field, which includes Smiley Kaufman, Sungmin Bae, Nick Watney, Brendan de Jong, heaps and heaps. You can see that.
Bobby Allenby.
Bobby Allenby's back.
He's following the leads that he's getting on the people that might have kidnapped him. Likes a bit of island hopping.
Oh, dude, he's finally tracked them down. Bad, Sendo, they're all down there. But you don't want to win that one, boys, because why don't you want to win the Puerto Rico Open?
Because if you win that event, you'll never win another tournament unless you're able to break the curse like Victor Hovland.
So Rocket's theory is there's only one person that's broken.
It's not my theory. This is a Andy Johnson special.
Andy Johnson. Oh, sorry, Andy. If someone reports me for mimicking you, that comes with the highest degree of respect.
The curse, the Puerto Rico Open curse.
Andy Johnson's great podcast Friday. Wonderful, knowledgeable man. But he's a funny guy to listen to. So Victor Hovland, he's the only one that's broken the curse. Tony Finau, and that's why you probably say that he would never win again, because he's cursed by the Puerto Rico Open win.
That's it. John Sendon's playing again. Greg Chalmers is playing.
Snake Chalmers, yeah, good field. So between those two events, there is a star-studded field. Now let's go back to the WGC. Thoughts on that? Yeah. Thoughts on that, Rocket Man? Who's winning?
Depending on how they set it up, the course is meant to be really tough. So it's a no-cut event. So you got a field of 70? I think it's 70.
Mm-hmm.
Tough. I was looking over a lot of the WGCs, and it's another one of those ones, if you're not inside the top 15 in the world, you're probably not going to win. So I've narrowed my focus inside the top 15. I'm going right against the grain if you want me to go for tips.
Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing 2 podcasts this week, so people can get because just before I do want to have a quick shout out to a couple of people that do follow your tips. Joshua over there in Edinburgh, Josh Rawson, he knows who he is, the Golf in Scotland.
I talk to him all the time.
Came out very, very open in his appreciation of, you heard it here first from the Rocket Man. Dion, I just want to say good day to Dion. Dion was reciting things to me today when I was speaking to him on the phone about some podcast-related things. Dion was reciting, verbatim chapters from the ROSSCO and Rocket episode, proving that we have at least 2 listeners, Rocket. So that makes it probably 8 people now that listen. Just good day to Dion and good day to Josh. How are you, mate? I'm missing not being able to come across there and play golf with you at your wonderful golf course, but we will be back. Don't worry. But anyway, sorry. Once again, I digress. Back to your tips.
I'm going against the grain. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but again, I feel like this man is just finding something this year, and it's almost like he just feels like he has something to prove. Brooks.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought it was going to be a bit more against the grain than Brooks, but some people would argue for you that's not against the grain. But why do you think it's against?
It is, because it's a normal tour event, right? I just think I spoke a little bit bush then. I just think it's kind of almost in the backyard. Got a couple of weeks off. Feel like he's got, I don't know, I still feel like there's a little bit of, he's looking at DJ and it's like, there's a little simmering grudge under there, and I think he's got a point to prove. And I think him starting to win more tournaments is the way he has to start to flex. So course is tough. I think he's ready. He's ready.
Okay. Brooks, top, not including the Australians, top international. I'm going to throw that curveball to you. Who's top international?
Top international. Sanjay.
Okay, good tip. Max Homa doesn't bounce back. He doesn't. He'll just.
I think it's always going to be hard when you've got a big emotional win like that to back it up.
Yep.
So I think he's going to play. Look, he's probably going to play well, but I'm not expecting a lot from the man. Although the one, there's a smoky in there. I don't know, tough courses, and he's streaky. The Wolf.
That Wolf.
The Wolf.
Okay. What about one of our other favourites, Abe Answer? What are you seeing from Abe? No form coming in?
No.
Okay.
I can't see him running into form.
Okay. Top Aussie?
Wow. It's still got to be, I'd say it has to be Cam Smith.
Okay. Not J Day based on his little bit of form?
Okay. Nah. Still, he was good. He was good at Pebble. Oh, actually.
I've written Cam Smith on the digital note-taking page.
No, let's ride with the mullet.
Well, you leave me with the Scottish picks for the listeners in Scotland, all 3 of them. Actually, my uncle sent me a message today. He sent me, that Scottish poem that the guy does, it ducks in. Everyone's seen that. The guy that does the poem about golf and how there's an American alternate version. It's actually quite funny. My uncle, Ian, who was the last person that I would ever think of listening to a golf podcast, let alone one with me in it, and then sending me a note saying, hey, Ben, listen to your podcasts. And thanks very much, Uncle Ian, for listening in Scotland. But you leave me with the challenge of tipping the top Scot. Pretty easy job this week.
It's only Bobby Mack.
There's only one. Bobby Mack. So Bobby Mack's in, and I think I'm going to tip Bobby Mack for a top 10. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Bobby Mack up there in top 10.
Okay. Down with that.
So, Bobby Mack, the Oban Express, good luck to you. Anything else about this tournament you want to cover off?
No, I'm actually looking forward to it. The course looks actually quite tough. So, and it's good as something new because it is a private course. So you almost wonder why did they put their hand up to host this? But, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good.
Okay, quickly across to the Puerto Rico Open. Thoughts on that and who might take home some Puerto Rican cacao chocolate?
I've actually laid some spondulis on Mr. Poulter, actually.
Oh, hello, really? Gone for Ian.
And actually, now this is not a rabbit hole thing, but regarding Ian Poulter, if people are not following the prank chain that has been going on for the last 2 months between Poulter and Henrik Stenson, they are missing out on just gold, absolute gold. Those two have been pranking each other since I think just before Christmas. It is just special. It is special to see what these two do to each other, and the way that they accept just what happens to them is quite funny. Stenson had a 3-0 lead on Poulter for a while, and he's clawed it back. Poulter's clawed a couple back.
The thing that you can't help but love about what those two guys are doing is just the polar opposite in how they both present what they're doing. Like Stenson, obviously, his nickname, the Iceman, and everything that he does, even when he's pranking someone, he delivers everything like the Iceman, and it's so good just to see.
Short, minimal words.
It's so funny just to see him pranking Ian Poulter and doing it in an Iceman type way, and then Ian's giggling like a little child in the background and doing all of that sort of stuff when he's doing his, and it's typical what they're doing. But you know what? The thing that I love is that they are doing it. They're getting to sort of elder statesmen of the tour, and they can still take the P15S out of themselves and out of each other, and it's great. And you talked about it with Max Homa a little bit, how he's so open and how giving and how much he lets you see of himself in his own way. Times these guys by 10. Let's get 10 more of them doing that sort of stuff. And we talk about Tiger and praying for him, but praying that he stays involved in whatever way, shape or form that he can bounce back from. And we need that. But if 10 more people let people in behind the scenes like these guys do and do things like these guys do in their own way, how good would that be?
Well, that's the thing. How do you grow the game? You actually grow up by having golfers that have some personality, allow them to have personality. It's not about having hot mics and stuff during tournaments. I like it more so when they're over a shot and talking about it. I want to get a bit more of that. I think that makes more sense. I don't need the in-between stuff. I want them talking about shots and stuff like that. But then outside of that, the golfers that I follow on either Twitter or Instagram, more Instagram, are the ones that actually are funny and they reveal stuff about themselves. Like I've talked about before, I love Ian Poulter. I think he's hilarious because some of the stuff he does with his family is just classic. Some of the stuff he does with his caddy and all his trips and stuff like that is fantastic. Henrik Stenson is he seems like the Iceman, but he's actually a really funny dude. He's just like the person you wouldn't expect. Max Homa, all these guys. Golf's meant to be fun. Yes, you're playing for sheep stations and stuff like that on tour, but bring people on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, 2 shout-outs, if I can, just while it comes to mind. We talk about Poulter. I just want to say a quick hello to Poults up there in the eastern suburbs, another listener who every time I see his name pop up, Poults, Dave Poulton. G'day, Dave. How are you? He's the man behind Golf Trivia, and let's hope that we can get that back up and running. But there is someone in this field at the Puerto Rico, which I just want to make a mention of, an Aussie in the field. And it's Mark Hensby, and it's a name we haven't seen for a while. If he hasn't ticked up on your radar. You know, Mark Hensby won the John Deere Classic. He won in Europe, and he's my vintage, so he's approaching seniors tour age, but grew up in Tamworth in New South Wales and played a lot of junior golf in and around the Hunter Valley. So those of us that grew up playing junior golf at a reasonable level in that area, very well known. Mark is very well known to us, but he was a great friend of all of us golfers, young golfers at Cessnock. So Hens still stays in contact with us, and a couple of other young fellas that we play golf with. He's always up for a chat. Funny young man. You can go and read about Hensby and what he's done and what he's achieved, but good to see him back playing in a big tournament. And good luck to you. There you go. That's all I've got to say about shout outs for this podcast episode. Rocket.
The one other thing that I'm going to try and get to watch is the Gainsbridge, I think it is Gainsbridge LPGA tournament in Lake Nona. So down in Florida, it will be the very first tournament of the now professional Gabby Ruffles.
Can only see, I don't want to put the moz or pressure on Gabriella, wonderful young lady, and the privilege of hosting a podcast with her recently with Jamie, who is one of her team. But in that podcast, we talk about when I first met her when she was 14, before she even thought about golf. What a wonderful young lady, and I can only see that she's going to do great things as a professional golfer. She's already proven that she can run at the upper end of the fields in her amateur days as playing in some of those guys alongside some of those guys. So it's very, very exciting time for women's golf in Australia. And Gabriella Ruffles. Gabby, how are you? Just talking about women's golf in Australia, the ATHENA event that was on last weekend, Rocket, I don't know if you caught any of that.
Nope.
So the WLPGA in Australia put this event on where they showcased about 20 of Australia's young professional talent up there at Coolangatta Tweed Heads Country Club. And it was over 2 days.
Oh, the old Vaughan Summers hunting ground.
The old Vaughan Summers, the old Gabriel Hertzstedt hunting ground, and potentially Jamie Glazier's new hunting ground as well. But they had a combine on day one where the girls had to go through the skills challenge, and then day two was like a sort of sixes shootout, 3-hole event. But televised on Fox Sports, great work for Fox Sports for dedicating the resources to putting that on. Ports did a great job. Kari was up there commentating on the ground. Hutto and Stacey Peters were down in Melbourne commentating it. And it was just great to see Australia's young female talent out there getting an opportunity in front of the cameras. There's obviously not that many people, if any people, sort of.
Good to see that Rupert spent some of the $30 million the taxpayers gave him.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Murdoch. But it was just great to see some young Aussie talent getting the opportunity to showcase themselves on the big screen, under a little bit of pressure, for some money, and it was great. Anyway, so just well done to those guys. It was good to see them all doing that. Hopefully they can do more of that sort of thing. And I'd love to see the young guys get an opportunity like that as well, because, there's some funny and talented young Aussie male talent, and I think they'd provide interesting TV watching as well in that same type of environment. So, Rocket, are we ready for the rabbit hole?
I think so.
Okay.
Other listeners, though.
Well, we're 52 minutes in. If you've stayed this far, based on
done
your desire to get to the rabbit hole, thank you. Rocket, we haven't got any theme tune music, but it's time.
No, we don't need it.
It's time for Rocket's Rabbit Hole.
I think the theme music will need me giggling every time you introduce it.
Oh, we've missed your real theme music. Let's hear a bit of that. All right, let's go with it.
It's rather fortuitous, and this one I'm going to dedicate this one to a listener, our resident orthopedic surgeon, orthopedic person, and this one's going to be a tough one. So anyone that's got Foxtel or KO, you'll be able to find it. Might be a bit harder if you go to try and find it on YouTube and someone's sort of ripped it down or something like that. It's called Project 11. Project 11. It is the story of Alex Smith, quarterback in the NFL, and his recovery from what seemed like an innocuous broken leg, which nearly cost him his life, nearly cost him his leg. And he's been able to actually return to play again. So, you think about, it's almost a bit of a theme of perseverance. He played for my NFL team, so he's drafted by San Francisco 49ers, played 9 years there before being traded away. I'm still dirty on how it ended there. And if he ended up winning the Comeback Player of the Year award this year in the NFL. And anyone just go and watch anything about Alex Smith. Project 11 is because 11 is his number. You want to see someone who has just willpower to overcome any type of adversity and also be able to put things into perspective. There's no one like Alex Smith. I absolutely love this man. And be one of those things when his career is sort of near the end, I'd love nothing more than my team to, we'll call it, sign him for one day so he can retire a 49er, because I think he's made of all the right stuff. So Project 11, I'm going to give a word of warning. There is some graphic stuff in there because they're showing his broken leg and the things they have to do to it, but it's well worth the watch. Well worth the watch. Not really a dig on the rabbit hole, but I think it's something that's rather poignant at this moment.
So when you introduced that and you said thanks to our resident orthopedic person, are you talking about the resident podiatrist?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't know my bloody
orthos from your podos
stuff. Well, stuff with legs and foot and feet and stuff.
So Matt Mollica tipped you into this. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was tipping him into this one, and I said I'm going to dedicate it. And he hadn't watched it because he still hasn't watched the Miley Cyrus one from last week. So I'm disappointed in him. And I said, well, I'm going to dedicate the Project 11 one in the rabbit hole for you tonight.
Well, after we finished last week's episode, I did flick over to YouTube and did pull up that.
What did I say? Did I say orthopedic or orthodontist?
No, you said orthopedic.
Is that close? Well, not really.
I sell golf clubs for a living, Rocket. I don't know. Just a simple guy from Cessnock.
I just protect people from bad guys. I have no idea.
just a simple guy from Cessnock, mate. But I think
I'm just an Aussie battler from Port Arthur in Tasmania.
I think it's feet reason. But Matt Mollica, g'day to you. And I said we were done with the shout.
He's shaking his head right now, going, "You two dongos."
G'day to you, Matt Mollica. Rocket, 56 minutes of your best again. Good luck with your tips. If you do want any tipping advice, any strategy, just feel free. I probably should post them tonight. Yeah, okay. So people do actually believe you. So people get access, because unless they're up at, I want them to get a head start. And do it if you are going to gamble. This isn't a gambling podcast. Absolutely not. But do it responsibly. If you've got issues, seek help, and but just be careful. And we do it in the good spirit of fun and jest, and but we don't jest about the serious things if you do have issues with that. So please don't. If you do, don't take Rocket's tips. No, don't listen to me. Exactly. It just sounds like lots of swear words that are being beeped out. Beep. Well, Rocket, it's that time where I say goodbye to you for another week, and thank you for joining us again. You can say goodbye now. Oh, sorry. I started to write the tips down. Goodbye, everyone.